Back in February 1991, the retreating Iraqis were brought to a screeching halt at a place called Al Mutla Ridge. The Allied air attack and massacre killed thousands of Iraqi troops. Kuwait was saved, but the wages of liberation were about to pile up. Needless to say, Al Mutla is now in the annals of contemporary history as the grisly location that saw the end of the 100-day Operation Desert Storm and indeed the Gulf War itself. It's just about the only distinctive geographic feature in the 18,000 square kilometres of flat, arid, gravelly desert that make up the oil sheikdom of Kuwait. On the face of it, the US-led Allied forces rescued this place from Saddam Hussein to ensure their oil supplies. It was oil that brought about the destruction of Kuwait City, and in less than 5 years, it's oil that's rebuilt it. The Burgun oil field is, according to the Kuwaitis, the second largest in the world. During the war, millions of gallons were lost here. But today, the Kuwaiti government is pumping it out as fast as OPEC will allow to pay for the war.
I would say, the whole figure, for the war of liberation and the cost of construction cost Kuwait around $50 billion. And that, of course, was used to liberate the country and to rebuild it again. But that was a drain on the Kuwaiti economy, a big drain, because we utilize our foreign assets. And before the Iraqi invasion, Kuwait used to have around $80 billion of foreign assets.
Current daily production levels are close to 2 million barrels. And this year, oil revenues are tipped to reach more than $10 billion, more than the Kuwaitis were getting before the Iraqi invasion.
Who's nicer?
We don't want to invite Western democracy because some of that doesn't meet with us. But the principles is to have a continuous consultations among the people with Kuwait through parliament, through press, through the douaniyas.
For centuries, Arab men have been meeting in tents especially set aside to relax, play cards, and talk about maybe sex, but definitely religion and politics. It's sexist, it's elitist, with not a woman in sight, but it's what the Kuwaitis pass off as a democratic forum. Darwaniyas, they're called. The tents are long gone, courtesy of massive petrodollars over the last 30 or 40 years, replaced by gilded palaces like this one, privately funded by Youssef al-Mahlem's millionaire father and uncles. Behind the relaxed laughter of the Darwaniyas lie the business links, political contacts and the real power in Kuwait. The al-Mahlems aren't sheiks, they just live like them. Sheikh Salem has invited us to dinner along with a few friends who just happen to be almost the entire political and commercial elite of the country.
He's the man who's in charge of the stock exchange in Kuwait, but he doesn't give us tips.
By Western standards, Kuwait is definitely not a democracy, but by the standards of the Arab world, it's a model of political freedoms, way ahead of its Gulf neighbours like Saudi Arabia. Political parties are banned, but in the elections after the war, an opposition-dominated parliament was elected that's vocal but can be ignored by the Emir and the government. There are 50 members in the National Assembly, from moderate leftists to Islamic fundamentalists. Women can't vote, and there are less than 100,000 electors all up, so-called first-class Kuwaitis, adult males who can prove that their ancestors resided here before 1920. In reality, it's an elaborate debating club. Ministers are not elected by Parliament, they're appointed. And that's the preserve of the ruling Al-Sabahs.
Every country has its own different democratic system. There isn't one ideal democratic system in this world. There isn't one that everybody wants to follow. But the problem we have here, every country around the world thinks that any system different than theirs is not democracy.
A good debating point, but the fact is that the Parliamentary Assembly here has been shut down by the sheikhs on several occasions for years at a time. Kuwait City is a monument to the steel, glass and concrete definition of modern Arab progress. It's full of upmarket plazas like this one. But on Kuwait's busiest shopping night, business is not good. The government is the major employer here, and the cost of the war has meant belt tightening all round.
There is a good percentage of the populace which tends to like to have it easy, you know. That's because I think that the economy has been set up to be a rentier economy. Everybody thought that they had a piece of the cake without having to do any real work. Now I think most people realize that they have to, toil for that.
Right now, many Kuwaitis are ruminating that maybe the salad days of cradle-to-grave welfare, free education and guaranteed employment could be coming to an end. Nevertheless, they're still enjoying the fruits of not so much their own labour, but someone else's. The menial work here is still done by so-called guest workers. They drive, they cook, they clean, and on weekends they congregate around the souk, Kuwait City's covered market. Kuwaitis are a minority in their own country. Of the total population of 1.5 million, only 600,000 are Kuwaiti citizens. These days, the guest workers are predominantly Egyptians, Bangladeshis, Filipinos and Syrians. But there was a time, not all that long ago, when there were others, Palestinians, close to 400,000 of them. In the early stages of the war, Yasser Arafat aligned the PLO, at least politically, with Saddam Hussein.
When Yasser Arafat sided with Saddam Hussein, he made the most terrible mistake in his life and for the cause of the Palestinian people.
It put the 400,000 Palestinians in Kuwait under intolerable pressure. Rightly or wrongly, they were regarded as collaborators and sympathisers. And post-war, behind the euphoria, there were reprisals. Within 12 months, less than 50,000 Palestinians were left in Kuwait. And 5 years on, the Palestinians remain a sore point with the ruling family.
We have collaborators in Kuwait who are in prison, whether they are Palestinians or any other nationality. They collaborated with the occupying power in Kuwait, and they deserve to have what is coming to them.
But if the Palestinians were hurt, so it seems were the Kuwaitis, at least economically.
And they had a very major role in the labor force. They were also big consumers because they were settled. That mean, I mean, they used to have their families with them, and so they had to consume in Kuwait. They spent most of their income in Kuwait.
An hour's drive from Kuwait City, and you're in the demilitarized zone on the Iraqi border. If it's always seemed unbelievable that the world's most powerful international military coalition failed to remove Saddam Hussein, the scene here also has its touch of military irony. The battalion trooping the UN colours is Bangladeshi, one of the world's poorest nations, holding the fort for one of the richest.
Hello.
Out on the precisely marked border, a jumpy UN official goes into minute detail on the surveying of the disputed frontier.
This is pillar post number 106, and it is done. It's one of the 106 pillar posts across the land boundaries between Iraq and Kuwait. It's about 11 tons weight of cement, about 5 meters in the ground.
With a lecture for a TV crew with the temerity to point their camera into Iraqi territory.
Excuse me. Hello. Please do not. I asked you, and it seems no. You are not supposed to. You see, we have to maintain our.
Of course, yes. Yes, but
respect to both parties.
We can't film you with Iraq behind if you stay there.
No.
Okay.
And in another touch of strategic silliness, we were proudly shown the Kuwaitis' latest weapon against Saddam's million-strong army. They've dug a trench. Saddam Hussein turned this country into a hell on earth. The Kuwaitis have put out the fires, rebuilt their city, and are once again filling their coffers with petrodollars. But 5 years after what he dubbed the mother of all wars, Saddam is still there.
I think put it the right way, we are stuck with Saddam. Everybody's stuck with Saddam. I mean, there you have a country that's been run by a dictator who's isolated from the whole world, who still has some military capability, still threatening us as a small nation, and he's still violating all the existing rules of human rights around the world. So what else can we say? He's a menace. He's a menace to us. He's a menace to every country around the world.